It's a Saturday morning and you decide to go out and hit some yard sales. The first sale you come to, you see a stack of records. An album by psych rock legends, The Velvet Underground, catches your eye. You ask the seller how much they want for it, and they say, how about 75 cents? When you get home, you look it up online, you realize that it's an incredibly rare and unreleased acetate album of theirs. You decide to put your find up on eBay, and within a few hours, bidding surpasses $25,000. This is exactly what happened to Canadian Warren Hill at a sale in 2007. From paying $45 for a long-lost box of Ansel Adams photographs worth $1.8 million, to finding a bowl from the Northern Song Dynasty worth more than $2 million for $3. The internet is full of stories where yard sale finds resulted in unexpected fortunes. Yard sales have the potential to be a literal gold mine, and while you might not find items that will pay off your mortgage in one fell swoop, it is entirely possible and probable to turn $50 into a quick $500 worth of items to sell online. Personally, I've turned a dime into $400, $75 into $1,500, and one time even turned $500 into $11,000 with yard sale finds. And with the tips I'm going to give you today, you can too. This is After School Empire, the podcast that helps teachers like you make extra money by launching and growing their own income-generating side hustles. As always, I'm your host, Tony Neely. I'm a veteran teacher and a serial side hustler who loves helping other teachers find creative ways to earn extra cash after school on their own terms. We talk about lots of different side hustles on the show, but I'm going to be really honest with you. If you're looking to make some extra cash quickly and easily when school is out, I'm a firm believer that flipping yard sale finds is the single best summer side hustle option for teachers. Why yard sales? Well, they're accessible, they're everywhere during the summer, and they tap into that thrill of treasure hunting. There's nothing quite like the dopamine hit of turning a $2 yard sale find into $100 online. I grew up flipping yard sale buys online, and my dad actually quit his job as a police dispatcher at one point to flip items full-time. So you can say it's in my blood. While my dad had a knack for finding some good deals, he also didn't really have a strategy for his online business. He was the kind of guy who would go to a yard sale and quite literally buy everything, bring it home, and only part of it would sell online, often leaving our house full of unsold junk. Being an avid flipper myself, I've developed a more strategic approach to flipping that avoids the common pitfalls my dad experienced and maximizes profits without your home looking like an episode of Hoarders. Today, we're going to walk through 8 strategies that will boost your efficiency and success rate in finding yard sale items to flip online for extra cash. Whether you're saving up for a vacation, paying down debt, or stashing away cash for Christmas gifts, will help you make the most out of your weekend treasure hunts. It is worth noting that today's episode focuses on the actual process of hunting for items to flip at yard sales, not the posting and selling of those items. I'll have some episodes in the future all about the selling process. Alrighty. First, you have to find those yard sales. When I was a kid, I looked forward to getting the Thursday newspaper every week because I knew that weekend's yard sales would be posted in the classifieds. I remember sitting with a marker and circling all the ones that I thought my family should hit up. But gone are the days of newspaper ads. Today, Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are your go-tos for local listings. When I'm looking at sales to hit up, I tend to focus on community and church sales because they offer a higher volume of items for sale in one localized spot, which maximizes your time and potential haul. Remember, time is money here. So if you're hitting up one-off sales, prioritize ones that are close by unless a distant sale promises something exceptionally profitable. No need to waste 25 minutes driving to a sale to get back to your car and wonder why they didn't just save everyone's time by putting all their crap in the trash. Next, let's talk about choosing your niche, which I view as a key part of a flipper's yard sale strategy. Specializing helps you quickly spot the best deals and know their worth without second guessing. For example, I specialize in record albums and musical instruments because I'm a music nerd and know a lot about these items. This makes scanning sales much more efficient. To choose your niche, consider what you love or already know a lot about, and start there. Dive into online research, follow market trends, and connect with like-minded enthusiasts to sharpen your knowledge as to what sells within your niche and what doesn't. Not only should you have a general knowledge of your niche, but you also need to know the holy grails. For example, I can't tell you how many copies of Bob Dylan's Free Willin' Bob Dylan that I've checked, in hopes of one day finding the extremely rare version with several tracks that are missing from later releases that sells for upwards of $150,000. To be clear, I absolutely buy and flip items outside of my niche, as should you, but having a niche makes going to yard sales feel more like an exciting treasure hunt. Hey there, I really hope you're enjoying this episode of After School Empire. If you're gaining any benefit from this podcast at all, could I ask you to do one thing? Please take a moment and share it with other teachers. Just a simple social media post or text message to a colleague not only helps this show keep growing, but can also be the first step in helping a friend that you care about learn how to gain more financial independence by launching and growing their own side hustle. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. Next, let's talk about what happens from the time you pull up, get out of your car, and walk towards the sale. Making a stellar first impression with sellers can significantly affect your success at their sale. Approach each sale with a friendly demeanor and engage in light conversation. Ask them how their day is going, if they've had a lot of business, etc. Just be genuine and kind, because if they don't peg you as a dealer, they're more likely to want to negotiate with you or invite you in their home to take a look at some items they didn't bring out. We'll talk about that more here in a minute. When you walk up to the sale, even if you see something that makes your heart jump a little bit, don't rush straight to that target item unless the sale is busy. If there's lots of people there, I understand going straight to it. But if you're the only shopper at that sale, take a casual stroll around before walking over to check out that thing that caught your eye. This tactic prevents drawing attention to potentially high-value items, allowing you to keep the upper hand in upcoming negotiations. Plus, it gives you a chance to assess the seller's setup and discover other possibly overlooked gems, or come up with a potential bundling proposal. Bundling items together can lead to significant savings, which boosts your overall profit. If you have several items that you want to buy, the seller may knock off a few dollars compared to if you're only getting a single item. As a general rule of thumb, sellers are rarely willing to drop prices too much first thing in the morning because they expect to have more customers who might buy their stuff at full price later in the day. Heavy negotiations tend to work best after 11:30 or 12 in the afternoon, when sellers would rather make a few bucks than have to pack their stuff back into their garage or drive it over to the Goodwill. However, always negotiate ethically. Respect the seller's pricing, especially if items are already low priced or if it's for a fundraiser. One often overlooked yard sale strategy is asking about items that the sellers don't have out. Many sellers have valuable items tucked away because they either didn't think they'd sell or didn't bother to put them out because maybe they're bulky, heavy, or they just didn't have time to get them. Some of the best yard sale finds I've ever had came from simply asking the sellers if they had any records or guitars laying around that they'd want to get rid of. For example, I recently went to a neighborhood sale and visited a house that had nothing of interest to me. But before I left, I asked, "Hey, do you have any records?" And the seller laughed and said that he was a retired disc jockey from a radio station, and he had a closet full of them in his man cave, and he invited me to come in and thumb through them. Among his records was one signed by over 20 different country music Hall of Famers such as Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, Porter Wagner, Charlie Pride, and more. He told me that they had all signed it for him at an industry event in the early 90s. I asked him how much he'd want for it, and he said, "How about $2? I should be able to sell that record for $300 to $400. Not a bad return on investment." When you're looking at items at a sale, especially ones outside of your niche, be sure to leverage technology to ensure that you're making informed purchases. Again, my dad used to go solely by his gut. Generally, that resulted in a crap ton of unsold stuff sitting around our house. Please don't do this. Use smartphone apps like eBay to check current market values right on the spot. Focus in on the recently sold items for the most accurate gauge of demand and price. Simply search for the item, click on the filters button, and click on sold items. If an item has a barcode such as a book or a toy, sometimes you can even scan the barcode in the app to check current and completed listings of that item without having to even type anything in. This insight is invaluable and can prevent costly mistakes in buying items that won't turn a profit. Because when it comes to flipping, your gut can be wrong. Just because you think something looks like it'll be a good buy doesn't mean that it will be. I've had people ask me before, won't looking up items on my phone reduce my chances of negotiating a better price with the sellers? Maybe. To be honest, yeah, it might. But there's a few ways to think about this. One is they see you looking at your phone and think of nothing of it because it's 2024 and we're all addicted to our phones. Or they may look at you and think, she's looking that item up on her phone, so I'm not going to drop my price. But if they have the items out for $5 and you find that it only sells for $2 online, who cares? Or if they have it listed for $5 and you find out it sells for $40, then woohoo, it's party time. Either way, looking at your phone cuts your risk of wasting money, so it's well worth risking their unwillingness to negotiate. They still may offer you a bundle discount though if you're buying multiple items from them, whether they see you looking at your phone or not. Finally, let's talk about managing your inventory and storage. First, let me say that just because something is a good deal doesn't mean that you need to be the one to buy it, especially for larger, heavy items. It's awesome that you found a 70-pound concrete statue of Bugs Bunny for $8 that sells for $60 online. But do you really want the headache of moving, storing, packing, and shipping a 70-pound chunk of concrete? Personally, I wouldn't. If it sold for $600, maybe. If I see a big or bulky item, I ask myself a few questions. 1, will my wife kill me if I bring this home? 2, is the profit from this worth the hassle of dealing with it? And 3, if I were to sell this locally rather than online, how long would I have to store it? Then I ask again if my wife would kill me for bringing it home. Asking these questions can help keep your living space uncluttered and makes managing your business much easier. Wrapping up, flipping yard sale finds is an excellent way to make extra money and, in my opinion, the absolute best summer side hustle for teachers. But with any side hustle, you need to have a strategy. In this episode, I've given you tips on finding sales, choosing a niche, approaching the sale, asking about items that aren't on display, negotiating prices, using technology to help decrease your risk of wasting money, and considering if the profit from a bulky item is worth the hassle of dealing with it. Now take these tips, get out there, find some sales, and start getting paid. Again, upcoming episode, we're going to talk about the actual selling process, but I hope this episode's been beneficial in giving you some ideas and some best practices for getting out there and actually finding things to sell. Thanks so much for listening. You have no idea how much I sincerely appreciate it. If you've had some kind of mind-blowing yard sale finds or tips that you'd like to share with our listeners, post those in the comments below. Until next time, remember, people want to give you money. You just have to find a reason for them to do so. And After School Empire is here to help.